Hi everybody, it's Lisa Marie here for another Martini Talks. Hi my sweet lifers, and you know you're going to be shocked because we're doing a double take here. Aric was on the show last week, and we've had a lot that's happened in the last week.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I had a sixth sense about me in the garden on Saturday, Sunday, and Aric, he'll laugh. Y'all will probably laugh as well. His vision came to me as I was in the asparagus cleaning and working in the Sweet Life garden. And I immediately ran in the house and was turning on the news and saw where the flag was being removed on the embassy in Afghanistan, and immediately had a gut feeling that he was there. And I texted him, and you were there.
Yes, ma'am.
And so I wanted to have you back because you've been on the ground, and we've got nothing but that on the news. Well, depending on what channel you watch.
Exactly.
I have nothing but that going on the news at my house. And I just wanted you to share all of what you have experienced, and also to let you guys know this is what I talked about. This is what we talked about last week. You've got to register yourself when you leave the country. They will not be able to find you if you don't. The information is in that episode notes from last week. I'm going to put it in this week as well. But Gray Ghost Solutions, I'll mention that again, even though y'all should know if you're watching the channel and subscribe. But yeah, so first off, thank you for going and saving people. I mean, that's what you do. It's what you're doing. That's what you do. And share with everybody, kind of give us the download, because y'all, I couldn't wait to get him back on American soil. I was texting, are you home? Are you in Texas? Are you home? So wonderful that you're back.
No, appreciate it, ma'am, and thanks for having me back. No, it's, like we said before, these are things that we do. We've been doing them for, at this point now, over 30 years. We wanted to, and we have, brought some of those capabilities that the State Department had to the civilian market, because we understand that how things truly work in the government. And so, just to kind of reiterate what happened to me, I know some people will probably want to know. It's a normal Friday the 13th. Of course, most people would always think like, wow, Friday the 13th, while you guys are worried about Jason, right? Other people are like worried about just like, there's already enough crap in the day, excuse my French. So,
Yeah.
And so I got a phone call around 2 o'clock, and a client basically said, hey, what are you doing? And, I said, nothing. I'm sitting here. And because I know the client already, it was just, what do you want and where? Mm-hmm. And the first thing that I got was, well, you want to go to Kandahar. And just, we've talked about how much of a Christian I try to be. And so I didn't have any hesitation. Well, I take that back. I have a beautiful wife.
Yes.
and so my initial hesitation, even after saying, yes, I'll go, was how am I going to be able to tell her that this is what I'm doing? I chose not to.
We had a conversation about that as well.
Yes, we had a conversation about that.
She's with us today.
And so I immediately start to go into a planning process.
Right.
Of, where are we going? So the initial was Kandahar. Which, as you know, was still a viable place to land. It was to pick up another client that was pretty high profile. And so as I began to prep, pack bags, things like that, what will I need? How are we getting there? Where do you need me to go first? There's all those things that also come up. And I say this for those folks who ever want to go into the business or ever want to call a person or a company like mine, right? And that is, who's paying the insurance? Because we're talking about, at the time, Kandahar. We're talking Afghanistan.
Right.
And so, for those people who want to do it on the cheap route, although money is not the object, you got to think about the family members that are back there. Who's going to take care of those things? How is that? And so this great client, I didn't even have to ask them any of that. Basically, once I said yes, the email shot through with insurance, paperwork, bank accounts, like all of those things, because they didn't want me to have to worry about that.
Right.
Um,
Those are the only clients that you want.
right.
I mean, at the end of the day, when we're talking about the situation that we're talking about,
Yes, ma'am.
there's not a client that can fall into a category that,
Right.
I mean, as much as we all want to do everything we can for everybody that's stranded
Right.
and get them back home, you have to think about.
Well, they really, as far as a client goes, they were really smart. Their thought process is the same as mine.
Right.
And so they had already thought the whole thing through. This wasn't how some of these, great as they are, companies, charitable organizations are now that are taking donations and saying we can do this and we can, like, those thought processes had already gone. We knew that this was the window.
Right.
This can be done right now. We're not talking latter after the, as we would say in the military, left of boom, right? We're talking, we're in front of it.
Right.
And so.
And this is Friday.
Yes, ma'am.
And I didn't have a thinking in my brain. I didn't have that feeling about you until, I really want to say it was Sunday. I think it was Sunday afternoon. It was really.
And so you would have been, I would say, if I were to think timelines, you would have been right at the right moment. Because, if we went through it in a very quick notion, it was Friday night on a plane to Dubai, get there on, basically, it's like Saturday.
Yeah.
When I get there, it's link up with the rest of the team, only 2 other people and an aircraft. Basically sleep for a few hours, get to the airport and take off to go do this thing. And we had never met each other, by the way, at this point. The air crew, myself, we had their personnel that were in their offices in back in the U.S. who were putting all of us together. Mm-hmm. And so, there's that filling out, but basically also what this company had done was send bios. So you knew exactly the type of person you were working with. So they get my bio with all of what I've done.
Right.
I get the crews basically like, okay, this guy's flown this, he's in this, he's been in Mogadishu. So right away, it's like, okay, I got competent people that I am working with. We're not going to have to do this, the man dance. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people want to see who's been doing the most. And like, no, it was all about those people on the ground, which was a great thing. So, so probably about that time where you were thinking was when we were sitting on the ground. Yeah. So this is before all the crowds that you see on the TV, all of those things, and so we get there, we land, and again, being a Christian person, it definitely was, I had, not trying to sound like I know everything, I'm the baddest person on the planet, I've never been that way. My father's a Vietnam vet, and he would always tell me, never ask for something you don't know what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. If it's going to happen, you will be in that situation. And so I didn't have any, kind of doubts like that. But we landed, and I thought, this is like landing at any other airport, except it's, instead of Kandahar now,
right? Because
that closed.
Yeah.
We were going to Kabul, which to me is like, it's kind of like, well, if you were just going to this little small city, now you're going to the mothership. And so, that should raise a little bit of like, okay, the risk. Our risks just changed based on the location that we're going to.
Well, and also that initial place that you were supposed to be in had then been taken over by the Taliban. And you knew, I'm sure everyone has told you, that the Taliban had taken it over.
Right.
So now you're being forced to now land in the name?
In Kabul.
Kabul. And so that, that would have raised a few flags.
It does, but in a controlled risk environment, you calculate for those things. right? This isn't just a few folks who said, oh, we got this plane, we got this thing. You think of those contingencies. What happened if we can't get here?
Right.
What is our next point of location where we can touch down safely and we can do the best that we can for the people we are charged with? And so as we were making our way, we were told that our initial client had made it out on a commercial flight.
Okay.
So hey, great, everybody's happy. But we're already, hey, we're going to fill those seats. And so we get the message, we're still going. We're going to fill the seats with these folks. And we didn't even really know what that number was.
Okay.
We knew 4 possibly. And it ended up being double, which is great. I mean, I wish it could have been triple. It could have been whatever we could take. But you also have to think about takeoff, landing, fuel, like all of those things like that. But we would have made do because we had great pilots and just...
And I'm going to say this too for all of my family members that are watching and viewers that are dog and cat lovers, and y'all know how much I love my furry babies. There was also a dog on board.
Yes.
You were able to save a dog too.
The client said straight away, I don't care what anyone says, that pet is getting on that plane. So we knew that. I didn't care if somebody said we can't do it, it can't fit, like the dog was coming.
Yeah.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I'm a dog lover too.
Yeah.
So that definitely, my wife and I, that wouldn't have, and if she would have known that I left a pet, she probably would have put me in the doghouse. So there's that aspect.
I know Mama too. Yeah. I think that's about right.
And so we waited and waited. We watched certain things happen. It was first one plane gets messed up on landing, and so now it's on the runway. So even the planes at this point in time that were commercial that could still take off and land, they couldn't go anywhere because they needed to clear the runway. It was just like, if you could think of anything that would happen that day that would go wrong, it was like slowly but surely happening. 2 hours goes by. 3 hours goes by. We finally, and there's text messages, communications back and forth, because we're talking sporadic comms with, back to the United States, back to our clients. The only true comms was really through the air traffic channels. And then we get told, everyone off the net. So this is at the time the Taliban is coming into Kabul. So, of course, I'm trying to feel like, are there any spidey senses? Do I feel like something really is bad about to happen? We're looking around. We've been paying attention. There's no smoke. I don't hear any gunfire. I don't, And so in my head, I'm like, well, okay, we're still good. That's how we all feel. I talk to the pilots. They're talking to me. And we're like, nope, we're good. But we're still asking, where are our packs? We say packs, P-A-X, passengers. Now we know how many there's supposed to be. And the communication is with the passengers back to the client to me, and also to the pilots.
Okay.
But we're all asking, did you get anything? No, I didn't get anything. Did you get anything? Because now we don't have comms with them either, but we know they're in the terminal. They're supposed to be making their way. They're supposed to clear. And so now I'm asking the ground handler, where are my passengers?
Right.
What's going on? I mean, it's the typical, if you've ever been to third world country, nothing against anyone, they won't necessarily know, because there are so many layers of security and so many different people that want to be in charge inside of the airport, which we can't go in. Because believe me, I tried to go in there because I'm like, I want to get the passengers, I want to get out of here. If there's any way that I can help expedite, right, I want to do that. But I was told, you can't go, sir. So I have to patiently wait. Finally, we watch a bus take off, and we're like, oh, that's the bus with our passengers. No, it goes to a different airplane. And we're like, argh! Right?
Yeah.
So now we're waiting. Then I get told, no, they're coming. So we sit, and we see the bus, and after so long, the bus starts driving towards us. So I'm outside, on the ground. One of the pilots is outside, on the ground, because we want to welcome them. I look at what we call the passenger manifest. I have all the names, been given them. So I'm checking passports. I'm checking if this is who they say they are. I'm not really concerned about Do they have weapons? Do they have this? Because they just went through 4 layers of security inside of this airport. Not that the airport is great,
right?
But these are Westerners
right.
who just want to go home, and so
literally, I mean, yeah. Aric, they're taking with them.
So each one probably had a backpack and 1 carry-on.
That's it.
And of course the big dog crate.
And knowing that they're not ever coming back.
Right.
Whatever they had.
Oh, and I didn't care because it was like, so the dog crate was this huge dog crate, although the dog was probably about that big. And it was like for a medium or large sized dog. And so we only have so much space in the compartment. So I'm like, you know what? Instead of loading this dog crate with the dog into this small little compartment, I'm like, sir, whoever's dog it is, go get the dog, bring the dog through the front door, we'll put the crate in the back. So the dog's sitting in a seat like everybody else doing his own thing, right? But the dog was completely mellow and fine, like curled up like a little ball, like, thanks, I'm going home, right? And so we finally get all the passengers on. Bus drives away, and we're like, yep, let's do it. Doors are closing. Pilots are getting the, hey, clear for takeoff. Go ahead and come out of your gate, blah, blah, blah. And just as soon as the doors are coming up and click, 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 they're turning all the things. It's like, pew. I turn and I look and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, we've been told we can't move. So that's Taliban's coming in. They turn on the radio so I can hear it. And all you hear is, break, break, break. Military has control of the airspace. All commercial airlines stay off the net. We have a military operation going on. And there's just helicopters flying everywhere at this point. And so at that point, it's just, okay, we wait. We have to keep our passengers calm. Not that they are panicking or anything, but they're just happy that they're on this plane.
Right.
But we also know at this point, because after they got on our plane, we were told that anyone that was inside the civilian passenger terminal got kicked out. Whether they were through security or not, because the Taliban had came and they were basically like, no. So that was the point where if they didn't get out there, if they would have been 5 more minutes later, they wouldn't have been on the plane. So they're happy. I go through, we basically, do our little jokes, keep everything lighthearted. I start serving as if I am the stewardess, and I told them this is not my normal day job. However, would anybody like some water, some wine? We have champagne, we have, some crackers, we have a couple of sandwiches that we can give to you guys. Most of them were like, we'll wait a little bit and we will just, hey, I'll have some wine, I have a soda, And so, just jokingly keeping everything lighthearted, I put like a little napkin over my arm, brought champagne, passes out. Just
leave it to Aric. He's James Bond pretending to be in the service industry on an airline.
So we were just, just joking around, and everybody's trying to make communications. You could hear other commercial airlines coming on that were just like, when am I going to go? And you would hear the military gentlemen come across, break, break. We've said, everyone stay off. There is a military operation going on. We will get to you when we can. And then, it's kind of like that, how we used to say in certain things that we would do. It's the guy being polite. And then at the end, he would go, sorry for your wait, which basically means shut up, right? But in the nicest way. He's not going to say that.
Right.
And so, of course, the pilots and I were laughing because we knew what he was trying to say. Like, dude, you have no idea. Like, you wanting to go, I get it, but we got other stuff going on. And so we sat, and same time we're communicating back and forth. We're getting low on fuel. We need to wait and get refueled now because now we're probably on the tarmac, probably 6 hours at this point. 2 with them in there, 3 with them without, or something like that. And so the decision is, do we get fuel again? Because if they tell us we can go, now we got this big hose attached to the plane. We had already made the decision of if it got bad, we would either taxi and just take off, or at least taxi to the military side. Because there's no way I'm staying on this side knowing that things are going on. And then you start to see basically like wheeled armored vehicles show up and start sporadically getting in between aircraft. So you know, okay, something's happening. But no one's really panicking. You see the locals who work the ground on the airport. They're still wearing their yellow vests. Some of them have disappeared, but there's still people loading other planes in hopes that these planes get to go.
Right.
And so...
And then air traffic control.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So all the while, about the same time that the military came on and said, we're taking control of airspace, right? We found out that the air traffic controllers had hurriedly left the tower because they knew what was about to happen. And so it was silent from air traffic control for a little bit. And then that's when the military came on and said, because they had to reestablish it anyway.
Right.
Military always has backup plans and things like that. But any of those civilian air traffic controllers, they were not in there anymore. I don't know what happened to them. I don't know if they just decided, we're in this tower and we're kind of high. We don't want to be in here if something starts flying around. And so they left. And so we continued to, wine, food, things like that, whatever we could. And then we got the fuel. But before we got the fuel, the pilots, of course, are very professional. I get a message from my client who says, got to tell you something, but you may have to refuel in Tehran. And so, of course, having been a person who has been to North Korea, who is now sitting in Kabul, jokingly, it's like, what's part of the bucket list? I'll do that, but only just for fuel. But it came back across once we got the fuel, we didn't have to do that because, of course, my first thought is, okay, here we are, a plane with all Westerners in it who has to go to Tehran to refuel. Now, what are the likelihoods of something happening if we have to touch ground there? Are they going to try to hold us? Is there going to be an international? Should I call and try to designate the flight as a medical flight? So that way we get,
the in and out.
We get the in and out because, of course, if you can designate your flight and truly have someone who's medical, which, by the way, helps out that I'm, paramedic and all of those things. And I have a doctor on the other, line that will answer questions if I need them. I could do something like that, but we didn't have to do that. And so we just, got the fuel. Shortly after we got the fuel, I think it was another hour or so. But I'd already given, instructions to personnel like, hey, if we got to leave in a hurry, I'm just going to tell you buck your seat. I'm not coming through. I'm not looking. I'm not. And so we got you can go. The other thing we'd already established was once we get the call this time, no matter what they come back and say, we didn't hear it because we are taking off no matter what. So if they said, oh, wait, you got it. Like you give me that clearance to go. These jets and these turbines are going. We're spinning. And we were great because so if you can imagine the news where they showed that crowd of people and getting on that plane, we were about 2 plane lengths away, but nothing in between us. So we would have been sitting where the news media, whomever, had shot that video showing people climbing on those planes and all of that.
And that was just so, to me, it was such an awful visual. I was thinking to myself, it reminded me of September the 11th, which is so weird because this is such a connection to that, and we're getting ready to have the 20th anniversary, and we're trying to do this leaving situation, which is just upsetting to so many people. How we got there, what have we done, what will happen now, why were things not done differently? It's just a lot of questions for a lot of people.
I mean, I did Iraq as my part of OIF, OEF. I did some backside things for OEF. I never had stepped foot in Afghanistan while I was in the military or at the State Department. So now here I am at the end of all of this, knowing that I have brothers and sisters in the service and things like that who have been in and out of this place, still understanding from all the different conflicts and things that I've gone to that there are people that are going to be very disheartened about this. I mean, it's no different than when I left Desert Storm as a young soldier and we all thought we didn't finish. And so now here we are, 20 years after this, and all these great Americans and these families, these Gold Star families that have lost, family members, or we've lost, I've lost friends in these conflicts. And, people are just distraught. I mean, if you go back to the Vietnam War, and my father served, and then you think how these people came home and how they were treated and all of those things. And yes, we've done a lot better about doing that for service members. But now what we have are a lot of service members who are questioning themselves, whether or not they did the right thing, or was it all in vain, or who can I talk to, or what about all these people that we lost, right? And so my mind goes back to, man, this must be not the same, but some feeling of what it's like for all those guys during the Nam era who nobody paid attention to them and thought that they had done something wrong. Yeah. So now we're trying to tell these servicemen, and I see it, LinkedIn, Dr. Chris Free, who is a very good friend of mine, psychologist, like it's a constant rotation of trying to talk to people and explain to them and tell them that they're being cared for, that they didn't do anything wrong. But then there's all of those people that are left there, all those SIVs.
Yeah, and I mean, all of our friends that we were that are Afghanistans, that are our friends, right? And we've got to find a way. Yeah. And what's worse, or for me as a female, right? The girls, the babies, the children, the mamas, the girls that grew up being able to wear clothes and like we do, and
20 years. School. I mean, some of those folks, they were born right when this thing happened, and so they're now 20, 21, 22, haven't lived any other type of life, and now
it's a whole new world.
It's a whole new world for them. They're going to have to, reading stories of kids who were walking around in jeans and a reporter saying, well, where are you going? Well, I'm going to change clothes because
I'm not allowed to wear this anymore.
I can't dress like this. Whether it's a boy or a girl, small kid, those kinds of things. And of course, yes, it is truly a devastating thing that is happening that, God forbid, we're about to see more of, because by all rights, whether we like it or not, they are the legitimate government of Afghanistan now. And I would, I challenge people to truly think about that. Yeah. If you haven't paid attention to anything else that's been going on in the last 5 to 10 years, you're not going to be able to look away from this, because it's out there and it's in our face, and you're going to have, I have to say it, people that are going to say that they can do certain things, but they can't. No. It's going to be a money grab. So watch your pocketbooks. As much as you want to help, think about who you're giving money to. Mm-hmm. Think about, can they truly go and do what they say they're going to do? Are they going to do it the right way, or are they going to take the patriotism of some of these servicemen and women who will go back there in a heartbeat and lead them to their death?
Yeah. Risk their lives for absolutely nothing and come back with nothing. And the whole point before they ever left was that they weren't going to get there anyway.
Right.
They are, and I hate to use this word, but they're dead before they ever leave the ground.
The client that I had, when we determined and had proven that we could get people out the first time, definitely was looking to go back and do it again. But we started getting told, stand down. And not in so many words. It was the smart people from this organization were like, can we really go back again? Looking at, the writing on the wall, talking to the smart people, the connections that we had in and out and around the place. Being told, watch what you do. Being told at that time, no more commercial flights are getting in. Only the military, which thank God for our military.
Right.
Friends of mine whose kids have served there already, and my friend who had already served there, he's got to watch his son get back on another plane as part of these 5,000 or so he's told to go back in there. And so it's all over again, right? Man, how do I, how am I going to do this? Because he was one of the people that I called when I got told, if we have to do this again, do you have more people like you? And I was like, I got them, but we got to do this smartly.
Yeah, because it is not a safe.
No.
It wasn't safe on Friday the 13th. Let's be honest. Mother's over there in the room. All of that game has changed.
Yeah.
Within hours, all of that game has changed. So I don't think at this point it's possible. I don't think now we are now taping this on Thursday. So it's going to be a week tomorrow when we drop the show. Every Friday we drop the show. So it'll be a week since this is, and we have a deadline supposedly of August the 31st,
Mm-hmm.
and then the anniversary on September the 11th. And I am a positive, y'all know I am, a positive, high energy, gonna think the best thing, even if bad things happen, the best will come person. I'm not the mindset that thinks the worst. I'm always the one, well, I do occasionally, but most of the time when something bad happens, I try to make the best of it. I can totally see this just getting way worse, way quick.
Think about it. The original from our smart generals and leaders that are out there was, we have at least 60 to 90 days, right? But that wasn't, let me watch what I say. That wasn't based on the quickness of how this happened.
Oh yeah, well we could not say that, but we can.
Right.
For those of you who are paying attention to the news, we know all about how this happened so quickly.
And so now with that, it's a new risk matrix.
Right.
It's not the same. And so that's why I say everything was aligned. Divine intervention, however you want to call it, of a Friday call, getting in there, doing what, the team was able to do, and then getting back out and then trying to decide whether we should go again. And then being told, no, we're gonna,
That's
hey
it.
Eric, we're gonna send you home.
That's it.
Right? And
Yeah.
so of course that's a great thing. In your mind you're thinking, okay, well can we do it again? Well should we do it again? And how are we going to do it again? And so, I had people who were in the know that would call and ask me or say, hey, I got this in this family. Can you get this information to these people? We had started reaching out to other people because we were like, unfortunately, in this business, it takes money.
Yeah.
You never want to say that, but it does.
Just the facts.
A plane, flights, cruise, all of those things. While everyone would do it for free, there's still things that cost. And so we were already trying to reach out to those people that we could. And you were one of them that I had spoke to on, hey, do you know some folks? Yeah. But then I got a couple of folks that told me, hey, we'll give $100K, we'll do this. I gave that information to the people and we were like, nope, they can give that money to someone else, because it was already determined and decided there's no way. You'll just be taking this money and you're not going to do anything with it. Mm-hmm. Our team, our group never wanted to have anything to do with that.
No.
And so they said, if we need you for something, which would be more on a consultant basis, we will let you know. But for right now, send you home. And then I have, friends even this morning, because I want people to know this, watch who's trying to tell you they're going to do something.
Right.
A good friend of mine who works at another organization called me and said, hey, would you do it again? And I said, under what context? Which was already no, but he was telling me, there's this company that says they're going to do this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no. But HE hockey sticks, no. Mm-hmm. And I was like, think about what they're telling you. Think about how much they're saying that they're going to pay some individual. Have they told you they're going to take care of all the insurance and everything for these folks? And what is their plan? Mm-hmm. What truly is their plan? How are they, if you're not the military right now, how are you getting in there? Now, granted, they said they're going to let some other planes in. But we already have reports of huge planes leaving with only 26 people. Because who controls the airport? The 82nd Airborne. Hoorah, right? But who controls the outer section of the airport right now? Taliban. So how are you going to get those people into the airport? Let alone the folks who were not registered on the STEP program, the folks who are German or Canadian or whatever, who are in all the other provinces. Because how are they going to get to Kabul?
Yeah, and I remember, it was a couple of days ago, or maybe yesterday, because I've been very diligently watching and, of course, thoughtfully praying for all of these people that are it's so perilous right now. It's so unnecessarily the way that it has happened. It's so unnecessary. It could have happened so much more methodical and planned, and what you would have thought much better of our leadership from down to the top. Not pointing fingers at one,
right,
but across the board. Because you've got to have, you see something, say something situation. And if you've got somebody saying, we're going to do this, and you know that outcome is not a good one, you have to see something and say something. So it's not just one person. There's
right,
multiple people that are at fault because of how this has gone down. But you've got the ability, you would hope, with the military to take out every single person that needs to be out. You would hope. But that's not what's happening.
Not as of yet.
Not
as of yet. Is it going to happen? I do not know.
No, and as a result of it not happening, when the ticker drops down to whatever the date it is, whether it be the 31st or a little bit later, there's a potential for hostages. There's a potential for just mass killings. There's a whole nother culture that has not got the same value on human life that we have. And I'm not going to say a statement, and y'all know me, I'm not going to be judgmental about
right,
it. You know, whenever you're in Rome, you do what Romans do, right? When in Rome, do the old saying. You can't walk into a country where they have a different value system, a different everything, and make a bold statement that you're wrong and we're right. Got it. I'm there. But there's a certain level of just decency. And if you're saying you're going to let people out, they need to all come out. Then you can take over your dirt, take over your real estate, do what you need to do. And we need to be aware as Americans that there is now a very viable threat that was just simply not there.
Right.
It was there, but it was dampered down.
Right. That is always, in this business, right? That is always the uphill challenge, is to explain to people it's not whether it's going to happen, it is when is it going to happen. And so as individuals, as families, as companies, there are risks that we are willing to take. But have we really sat down and weighed that risk out with individuals? I'm not saying just me. I'm saying any of these great companies, of these folks who were law enforcement, military, that have traveled the globe and actually know what you go to one country doesn't make you an expert on planning and understanding
Right.
cultures
Right.
and things like that.
Right.
You go to over 50, not boasting, you actually have an idea of the cross-cultural thought process that goes into every person's ideal of what normalcy looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And so your brain is continually, every country, every state, every whatever friends of mine or myself go to, that's what we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
People say it's a hypervigilance, but look at what's happening in the world today, right? Like that's part of the special forces, cross-cultural identification, paying attention to your host nation, not going there and taking over and trying to
make it like you.
No, it is looking at the differences and finding a way to work together with those individuals in their construct.
Right.
And then maybe by example, showing them here is a different way,
yeah,
right? That may work out for you and get you what you need other than the rod, right? And so there are those things. So, I mean, truly, today, and again, thank you for having me here, it is, man, prepare yourselves, be prepared, reach out to folks who know what they're talking about.
Right.
And, we don't talk about political parties, right?
We do,
but
not on this channel.
Not on this channel, right? This is a humanitarian thing.
Right.
We are talking about people. Doesn't matter what color they are, what beliefs they have, what the world is about to see what it's like when a group of individuals who have far different views than most of us take over as a sovereign nation.
Yep. It's never happened. It's never happened in my lifetime. And it's one of the worst things that's happened, and I will give him the credit and quote him. Former President Trump spoke the other night, and he said, this is one of the worst things that have happened in American history. And it is devastating. It is devastating.
Oh, think about the implication without getting too deep into it, right? We have basically let every person who has ever been watching us see what we will and will not do. What do friends that I have, if they ever watch this, one brought up Bay of Pigs. Those kinds of things. Because he's going all the way back to, we haven't had something like this since those days.
Right.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of people, many of us are being speculative, but it's more about studying history. Mm-hmm. It's more about knowing what we know about the government from our years of service, or those folks that are still out there today who are sitting either in country, around the country, have been studying it for 20 plus years. And I guarantee you, they all have their own end of story that they are looking at. And God forbid, it's the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Because that is where, if you're not a Christian, you're about to see, in my thought process,
right,
what that is all about.
Yeah.
Or just a decent human being. Because I know there are people who, we all have our norms, beliefs, and values.
Yeah.
But as a human being, you're not going to be able to turn away from those things.
It's going to be a whole new world.
Oh, yeah. I think the maps will get
rearranged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just so grateful that you were able to step in. I'm a little bit, what's the word? I was a little bit, shocked is not the right word, but I was just really overwhelmed that I had that feeling, and then you were actually there, and I'm listening more and more to that little voice that we talk about. I call it the Holy Spirit, because I am a Christian. But I feel an overwhelming, that's the word, overwhelming sense that I need to make sure that you're okay. And I don't know why that was, but a lot of my friends are like, because you do that with all of us. Once you're here and you're a part of your universe, your whole family, and it's just what happens. And so don't go back.
No.
If you do, I'm going to text your wife. She's got me on her back now, because I thought you were kind of half joking when you sent me that text. Now that you're talking to her today, she didn't know.
No.
She didn't know.
No.
So, but anyway,
she's strong. She's strong.
Oh,
but yeah,
absolutely.
it's one of those things where, it's better in some cases not to know and to find out. It's the whole moniker of do it and ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah.
We're kind of in that, but yeah, I've been banned. I can't do that.
No, and honestly, I think at this point we're going to be all watching with bated breath on the news to see what happens over the next few weeks. And I normally do evergreen. Y'all know that. Almost everything I've written in 18 years has been evergreen content. I rarely do a piece that's timely or newsy or anything. But after you were here last Friday and we were talking about what you do, and then you were actually doing it, and it's live time doing it, and it's something that's happened that's so profound for the world. Really, it's not just for the Americans.
Right.
Everyone's affected by this, and will be for a long, long time, potentially forever.
Yeah.
And so it was just really important for me to have you back and to have your wife back, sweet wife over there. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being here today. And I just really appreciate your service and your expertise, really. And
No, I
doing what you do.
appreciate being here, and again, for us, it really is about the education of people and understanding, like we say, you're going to have to educate yourself. You're going to have to understand how to take care of yourself. And anytime you're traveling anywhere, unfortunately, this is a very bad situation. But you got to think those things through. I mean, sometimes it could be something as minor as just, you have a medical emergency. But where are you when that emergency happens? Mm-hmm. Have you really thought it through? Have you reached out to the doctors and planners and folks like that to make sure that you take care of your family?
I won't be leaving anywhere without Aric. I'm going to text permission from his wife, and then I'm going to say, we're going out of the country, and this is what we're doing, and this is where we're going to be, and we're going to make sure that so that if something bad happens, you can come find me, and I'll have a little beacon going, Auntie A is here, find me please and take me home. So anyway, on that note, I hope you guys have found some value and been educated. More importantly, I really wanted you guys to know that are viewing this channel what's going on, because there's a lot of misinformation going on out there right now, as it always is anyway.
Right.
But you've been there hands-on on the ground, and I wanted to share that with you guys, and hopefully you found some value in that. And if you did, do us a favor, like and share. Don't forget to ring the bell, and we'll see you soon on another Martini Talks. Take care.